to write is a constant, comma, variable, comma, or product of, I'll get it, a constant, a variable, or a product. Your test is on your desk for you. Do you have a calculator? Somebody, yeah, there's one right there, I think. You got a pencil? A constant, variable, or product of each, I'll say each, meaning those beforehand, with only one term. So it could be a constant, it could be a variable, or it could be a product of both of those with only one term. Examples would be -8, that is a monomial, otherwise known as a constant. We could also have 5x. That is a monomial because it's a product. You're multiplying a 5 with the x, the variable. You could also have -3m squared n to the 5th. That is also a monomial because you are multiplying all of those things together. What are you doing? Why? Oh, mine is too. That's okay. You look good. All right. Then we have binomial. Bi, the prefix means two, as in bicycle is 2 tires, 2 cycles. Or biology is the study of 2 things, plants and animals. So this is a monomial of 2 terms. And it's not really a I should say it's a polynomial of 2 terms. Sorry. It's a polynomial. So sorry. It's a polynomial of 2 terms. Polynomial of 2 terms. And these terms are going to be separated by an addition sign or a subtraction sign. So we could have -2mp plus 5p. That is a binomial. A second one could be, let's say, why do I use the same numbers? 7m to the 30th n to the 5th minus 2. That is a binomial, 2 terms. And last but not least, we also have trinomial, which means 3, and that is a polynomial of 3 terms. And one example of that could be 5k squared j to the 4th L plus 2k j to the 5th L squared minus 15. 3 terms. Okay? It's an L. It's a cursive L. Because if I make an L, it might look like a 1. Okay? 3 terms. Now, we also have degrees for each of these monomials and polynomials. Okay? The degree of a monomial, this is only for the one term. For one term is the sum of the exponents of all the variables. You only look at the exponents on the variables. Yes? One more time. J to the fourth L. That's a cursive L. Blake, please put that away. So a degree of the monomial, the one term, is the sum of the exponents of all of its variables. A non-zero constant, non-zero, meaning not zero, has a degree of 0. And 0 itself has no degree. 0 has no degree. So let's take a look at the degrees of each of our monomials. Okay, so the degree of -8, that is a constant. What is the degree of a constant? 0. The degree of 5x, you only look at the variables. Now, this variable does not have an exponent, but we know you can put a 1 on it. So that is a degree of 1. Okay? You have to add. Now, the degree on the 5, that would be a 0 because it's a constant or coefficient. That's not a constant, that's a coefficient. And the degree of my last monomial, I have a 2 and I have a 5. You need to add. It says the sum. That means we need to add them all together. So 2 plus 5 gives me a degree of 7. This will be a degree of 0, 2, and 5. Okay? Any questions on that? A degree of a polynomial is a little bit different. It is the greatest degree. As Muhammad Ali used to say, I am the greatest. No? The greatest degree of any term in the polynomial. So you don't add each of them up for the whole polynomial. You find the degree of each one. So let's do the degree of this first binomial. What's the degree of -2 MP? Nope. Nope. Don't guess. Don't look at me. Look at your notes. 2. Yes, it is 2. Because that is m to the first and p to the first. You add the 1 and the 1, and that gives you 2. What is the degree of 5p? No. We're right here. 5p. 1. Because the p, even though there was no 1 there, I put a 1 on it. And it has a degree of 1 because your coefficient is a degree of 0. So degrees are not exactly the same as the exponential rules that we just had, because there we always put a 1 on it. You can still put a 1 on it, but it's a degree of 0. Okay? Now, for the degree of the whole polynomial, you take the largest of those. If you're looking at 2 and 1, 2 is the largest. So the polynomial has a degree of 2. The whole polynomial has a degree of 2. Okay? Looking at the second binomial, what is the degree of 7m to the 30th n to the 5th? No? 35. You have to add them together for each individual monomial. What is the degree of -2? 0. So what is the degree of the entire polynomial? 35. Degree of 35 for that whole polynomial. And last but not least, what is the degree of 5k squared j to the 4th L? 7. Yes, very good. There's a 1 at the end there. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 1 is 7. What's the degree here? K to the first, J to the fifth, L to the second. This would be 8. And what's the degree of minus 15 or negative 15? 0. What is the degree of the entire polynomial? Degree of 8. You take the largest degree of all the individual monomials. Questions about that? Okay, so polynomials are named by their degrees, and certain polynomials have certain names. Okay, I'm going to come back to this in a minute. I'm going to write a big star over here. So if you have a degree of 0, you're talking about a coefficient or a constant. So the name there is a special name, which is constant. If you have a degree of 1, that means it is a linear degree. We don't say degree 1, we say it is a linear blah, 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 whatever it is. Degree of 2, that's quadratic. Now, we will get into quadratics a whole lot more during second semester. That's your x squareds, okay? Cubic is 3. You probably have heard that before, especially when you've talked about volume. And 4 is quartic. Quartic. There are, if you know anything about cooking, 4 quarts in a gallon. 4 quarts is equal to 1 gallon. So if you know there are 4 quarts in a gallon, we say that is quartic. 5 is quintic. Nothing. Just kind of similar to your name, Quinted. Quintic. Are you the 5th child in your family's family, by chance? You're what? You're the youngest of 5? Oh, of 7. But when you were born, oh, you're the youngest. I was going to say, you would have been the 5th one. No, that's not right. Oh. Then they said, hey, we can't keep making all these names up. So when they got to 6, they're like, let's just call it 6th degree. Aren't you glad? Yeah. All right. Because, do you know what the prefix is for 6? I think it's sex. Like that would have been sextic. And then septic, but who wants to be called septic if you have 7 degrees? Okay. All right, now let's go back. Bless you, man, must be something in the air. Go back, it says up here above, note, if any variable has a negative power, this is not a polynomial. Very important. So if I have 3 m to the second, n to the negative third, this is not a polynomial. Yes, it is, because it says right here, if it has a negative power, negative exponent, it is not a polynomial. Now, even if you try to fix that, it's 3m to the second divided by n to the third, right? But you cannot have that either, because if we were to write it, it would be a negative exponent. So this is not a polynomial either. So not a polynomial with a negative exponent, and not a polynomial with division. Not division either. And that comes from up here where we said it is a product. So you are only multiplying. If you ever divide, it is not a polynomial. Okay? Questions on that? All right, moving on. Addition is commutative. Does anybody know what commutative means? CO. What does it mean? It means you can change the order. That's how I remember it. The CO of commutative, you can change the order of numbers. So 5 plus 4 is the same as 4 plus 5. And because addition is commutative, the terms of a polynomial can also be written in any order. They are also commutative. However, there is a standard form for a polynomial, and you are going to write that in order from greatest degree to least degree. Greatest to least. Greatest to least. Remember we had standard form for linear equations? AXB plus BY equals C. Okay. There you had to have A was a positive. Here, okay, here your initial coefficient, which is also called and mostly called the leading coefficient, right here, can be negative. But in standard form of a linear, it cannot be negative. Remember we talked about you had to be an A positive. So the initial coefficient, which is also called the leading coefficient, can be negative. Okay? So let's get to some examples of these. This is a lot of information. I get it. It's a lot. Quartic, quintic, polynomial, monomial, trinomial. That's a lot. But let's do some examples together and make it easier for you. So the top of the next page, the type of polynomial at the top is talking about the number of terms that you have. So for this first example, how many terms do you see? Well, first of all, back up. Is it a polynomial? And then if it is a polynomial, we're going to say how many terms. So is this a polynomial? 7 minus 5x squared y to the third plus 6x. Survey says it is a polynomial. A constant is a polynomial. This is a polynomial, and this is a polynomial. So yes, that is a polynomial. How many terms is that? You're missing a page? How many terms do I have there? You have 3. You have 7. You have negative 5x squared y cubed plus 6x. So that is a trinomial. Trinomial. And for a trinomial, you have to find the largest degree on each individual monomial. So what is the degree of 7? 0. It's a constant, it's 0. It's just the variables. What's the degree of the second term? 5. What's the degree of the last term? 1. We have to pick the largest, so it is a 5th degree, but what do we call, what's the fancy name for the 5th degree? Quintic. You guys should remember that. Quintic, because you've got our good friend Quintez. Standard form. Standard form, you need to write this from the largest degree to the smallest. Okay, largest degree to the smallest. So my largest degree has 5. You start with that term. Negative 5 x squared y to the third. Then you go to the next largest, which is the 6x. I don't want to put that. I want to put plus 6x. And finally, I want to put plus 7.
How did you know that it was 20? Where did you
It's not 5 terms, it's the degree, which was 2 plus 3, which is 5. The leading coefficient is your first and leading coefficient of that whole polynomial, which in this case is -5. Okay? Questions on that first one? All right, the second one, 9x to the 5th plus 7x to the 9th minus 2. I'm going to separate these. Is that a trinomial? Or I'm sorry, polynomial first. Polynomial. Is it a polynomial? Is it a polynomial? It is. And it's got 3 terms, so it is a trinomial. Trinomial. The degree. What's the degree of the first term? 5. What's the degree of the second? 9. What's the degree of the last term? 0. What is the degree of the entire polynomial? It is 9. You do not add for a polynomial. You find the largest. We added for a monomial. 1 term. So degree, you have to find the largest unless it's a monomial. Only a monomial do you add. It's only 1 term. The first one here, this is 3 terms. That's why I have them divided. Okay, so 9th degree, we just call this a 9th degree. We don't have a silly name for that. So, standard form, 7x to the 9th plus 9x to the 5th minus 2, and that has a leading coefficient of 7. All right, we will pick this up tomorrow. You can begin, quiet, you can begin on homework number 1. That is going to be due on Monday. Do not wait until Sunday night.
So
Wait.